What is it that you're working on, which are priorities as far as the NITI Aayog is concerned, to really push reforms, to sort of, you've been in charge of brainstorming now, and that is the mandate of the NITI Aayog. What can we expect?
Okay, so I'll tell you what in the last 2 or 3 weeks we have been busy doing. So we are looking at one thing, is that our mandate is very much to work with the states, and I do feel actually that a lot of the reforms that are outstanding can be done in a more expeditious sort of way through the states.
The ease of doing business rankings will be put up by the DIPP at the end of this month, is what I'm given to understand, and that will show which state stands where as far as the ease of doing business is concerned. But since you've been talking and consulting with various state governments, do you believe that we are going to see significant improvements on the ease of doing business when it comes to individual states?
So I certainly think so. A lot of the things have been done very recently. Actually, I was also talking about with somebody, one of the industry chambers that is housed in West Bengal, and even they were saying that West Bengal actually had made major changes. I mean, those changes, as they described, excited me sufficiently that I changed my mind, and now I'm going to visit West Bengal. And so
you should come with us. We're going inside Kolkata starting the 14th. We'll be there a whole week, sir, to try and understand what's really changing in Kolkata. So it would be nice to have you there with us.
Certainly, we'll certainly consider that. We'll work on it. I think we will see the changes. Incidentally, on that, since you brought the ease of doing business issue, we at NITI Aayog also are going to do a big study on ease of doing business, whereas what the DIP is doing is to do the survey or interview the officials of the states on what changes they have made. What we are doing, we'll go out and survey about 3,000 enterprises around the country in all the states to see how the enterprises see the change that has been.
And by when do you hope to complete that survey?
This is a large survey, so we expect this to be sometime in the summer of 2016.
The government has been talking about looking at what is happening with the global slowdown, specifically what's happening with China at this point in time, and to use this as an opportunity for India to position itself as far as the global map is concerned. But what can we do at this point in time? And also, what do we do to mitigate, for instance, the currency risk, the volatility risk that we're seeing as far as the currency is concerned?
Yeah. No, see, currency risks is not a new phenomenon. We have had these episodes before. We have dealt with these before, and with time we have only become better and better prepared for it because of our rising foreign exchange reserves. So I don't lose too much sleep over, and certainly we are not in a situation in which we could get into this, massive capital outflow crisis kind of thing that I certainly don't expect to happen. So let's rest that. Now, in terms of what India might do as the growth in China slows down, a lot of things have been underway. And I think we have to keep that process going forward.
Let me ask you this. You said the currency volatility doesn't keep you up at night. You don't feel particularly vulnerable about large capital outflows at this point in time. But what does worry you? What keeps you awake at night, if anything at all?
I work very hard during the day, so I sleep well. No, I mean, more seriously, ultimately, we need to have growth accelerate, and that is my sort of main concern, because ultimately, through acceleration of growth is how we are going to help the poor, help the farmers. I mean, that has been the experience over the last 15 years.
Do you think that time is running out, that the window of opportunity is now slimmer than it was 15 months ago to be able to push through some tough reforms in order to get back to the 8% plus kind of growth trajectory?
See, we don't know what the counterfactuals are in these cases. I'm an eternal optimist, so the window actually might open wider once we have the changeover in the composition of Rajya Sabha. And so there will be some change in 16, and then with some more change in 2017. So, and as I said, I'm here in this for the long haul. There will be a second term of the current administration. So
you're very clear about that. There will be a second term. But let me ask you.
There may not be my second term, but there will be a second term of the current administration.
So the 3 priorities that the NITI Aayog is working on today, and has the NITI Aayog lived up to your expectations? Because as far as the general perception is, at this point in time, one doesn't really know what has changed at the erstwhile planning commission.
You're not reading my interviews.
I'm reading your interviews. I'm here interviewing you, sir. I said that is the general perception.
Because I did explain in some detail actually what we have been doing. So first we have just completed, about to complete the midterm appraisal of the 12th five-year plan. That was a large exercise that around this time is usually done in the 4th year. There were 2 task forces.
What does the report card look like?
So that we shall see. It's not out yet.
Give us a sneak peek, sir.
No.
Good, bad, ugly.
That's something we'll see when it comes out. No word out.
What is the deadline?
Now the other thing, deadline yet to be decided. Meaning that ultimately it also depends on the Prime Minister. But then we have been working on 2 task forces which I have chaired, one on agriculture, very high priority for the Prime Minister, another on poverty, again very high priority item for the Prime Minister, and then Prime Minister also on 3 other subjects that were very important, had appointed subgroups of the Chief Ministers, Swachh Bharat, skill development, and the third, of course, has to deal with an immediate issue, which is the centrally sponsored schemes. So those are all well advanced. All 5 of those plus the midterm appraisal are well advanced. Then we have started a number of other initiatives. I mentioned to you ease of doing business. We have also working now with the states on a variety of fronts. We have been asked to do the national energy policy. We're working on that. We've been asked to study the prospects for electronics industry for Make in India. We are working on that.
Through all of this, whether it's agri, poverty alleviation, Swachh Bharat, skills development, or the electronic manufacturing policy and so on and so forth, what is it that you see the role of the private sector?
Well, in many of these things, private sector is very much there. Now, since the reforms, except for railways, I think private sector is there in every sector.
Yeah.
I can't think of, maybe nuclear power is another one where you don't have private sector. But other than that, so private sector has to be very much there.
No, but what would be, for instance, as you go about
electronics, for example.
Yeah, as you go about making your recommendations, what would the emphasis be to try and attract more private sector participation, more private sector investment?
No, certainly. Remember, again, I'm very eclectic in my approach. So we need more public sector, we need more private sector. So there's no issue, and we'll certainly try to make our recommendations. We'll certainly try to move in the direction of more private market friendly direction. But also the public sector is an important part of the Indian economy. And that too will progress. So we need forward movement on all fronts.
Do you think that the pickup that we're hoping for in the economy at this point in time is being held back on account of the stress situation that the banking sector finds itself because of the NPL?
No. So remember that, and this is again a view I had been advocating well before I came to NITI Aayog, that this was a major stumbling block. This is something that the government inherited, and it is something. It's a tough problem. There are no easy solutions. And while at one point I was advocating for an asset reconstruction company, but that is not an easy thing to do. That is a very tough, and particularly we have very limited experience now. Already some private ARCs do exist, and those have not particularly succeeded. So, but nevertheless, as I said, we ought to be
you
open.
Believe that it's an idea whose time has come, but execution and implementation is where you foresee the challenge.
Maybe tougher, because in the US certainly these have been used and successfully used. But again, this requires a lot of expertise. It also, and certainly it's at the same time we should not see it as the magic bullet which will solve everything. So we have to wait and see.
Well, we have to wait and see. You've got a long list that you're working on, sir, and we will come back to you to seek an update on all of the interesting work that's happening at the NITI Aayog. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for your time, and we appreciate you joining us once again on CNBC TV.
Thank you. My pleasure.